make sure you follow me on Twitter, !Twitter. Dapper, you hit 201. I did? Let me look here. We did. Let's go. You guys are awesome. We beat it, and we're like a month early. Hey, so chat. You want to check my subscriber number again? Yeah, I went down by 4. I somehow lost 4 subscribers within the course of the stream. Not sure how that happened. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what happened. What is up, fellow nerds, and welcome back to the Dapper Snapper Gaming channel, and welcome back to State of the Meta. Now, we haven't done one of these in quite a while. The metagame has been kind of going crazy here recently, to be honest with you, and it's been pretty cool, right, to see everything going up and down. But this week we had yet another shift in the tiers, and so I wanted to go ahead and talk about that now, because I really think that we're going to start to actually settle in now, and there will be a lot less shifting around, and so it'll be a lot more just small things here and there as the metagame starts to settle in a little bit. And so I wanted to go ahead and cover this. I wanted to go ahead and talk about the metagame as a whole, what I think about it, as far as competitiveness, as far as what I would do to fix it, what I would do to make it more fun, is it fun, all that good stuff. And so today is a lot more like a podcast type video, like these always are. And so feel free to, open another tab or just listen to it. There's not going to be a whole lot going on the screen, just a couple of graphics here and there if you're interested in seeing those. But for the most part, it's going to be just something to listen to. So again, make sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe if you are new. Next week is going to be our week of Wi-Fi, and so I hope you're really looking forward to that. It'll be a new Wi-Fi battle every day for the entirety of the week. So Monday through Friday, a brand new battle every day, with the finale being on Christmas Day. And so it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have a really good time. It's against viewers just like you. And so if you would like to be featured in a future Wi-Fi battle, then go ahead and let me know in the comments down below or hit me up on Twitter. So the metagame as a whole right now, typically we focus on OU on this channel. And so right now, what do I think about OU? I actually think OU is in a decent position right now, to be honest with you, which is kind of odd to say. Obviously, I have complaints here and there, and we will get into those here in just a second. But as a whole, I really think this metagame is actually quite nice. If you look at this first graphic here, we're going to look at OU specifically, and then we'll talk about all the tiers. This chart here shows that Landorus Therian is at 31%. Now, in last generation, I didn't see Landorus Therian below 40-something%. It's always been really, really high up. It's always been a staple of OU. And it's cool to start seeing that percentage go down. Obviously, it's still number 1, but it's coming down. It's coming down, and so I'm happy to see that. I'm happy to see it coming down just a little bit from that. I'm hoping that it will drop a little bit more going forward. I really don't think that Landorus Therian is all that great. I don't think that it is as good as what everybody says that it is. I definitely don't think that it deserves the number 1 spot. I think that should be Clefable. That's just my opinion. Just because you have things like Urshifu that don't care about the Intimidate, and Clefable is a really good check to that. Landorus isn't as good of a check as what people think. Wicked Blow always crits, doesn't matter if you Intimidate it, it's still gonna do a ton of damage. So I personally think that Clefable checks more. I think that it's a better overall mon, just in the whole metagame. It can set rocks if it wants to, it can wish pass, it can just do so many things that Landorus can't, And so, yeah, obviously Landorus can be more of an offensive threat, and so that's where the utility comes there. So you'll see a lot of Scarf Landorus, you'll see a lot of the more bulky sets that just kind of live forever. It can be either one, but I personally think that Clefable should be a little higher. Urshifu at number 3 doesn't surprise me at all. This thing hits like an absolute truck. No shock there. Magirna at 4, no shock there at all. Pex at 5, Pheromosa at 6. I know that they're thinking about testing Pheromosa. It's definitely something that I think deserves a test. I don't know necessarily that it needs to be banned, but something, I don't know. It's really strong. It's really, really strong. And so even if it is at number 6, it may still need to be tested. I think it's at least worth testing. Ferrothorn 7, no shock there. Cinderace, Garchomp, Rillaboom, all of these are good mons. Garchomp is kind of surprising to me. A lot of people are making it into the new Zygarde just because of its typing. It has the rough skin ability, so it can be a little bit more of a bulky set, which is fine. I definitely think that Zygarde worked really, really well, and even though you have that 4 times weakness to ice, it's still really, really good. But I personally don't think that Garchomp is a top 10 mon. I really don't. I really think that it should be lower down than this, but that's just me. The reason it's going so well is because of the exit of Hidden Power Ice. So there's not as many things that carry ice type coverage. So I mean, of the top 10, what of them normally carry ice type coverage? Magirna sometimes, but not always. But it carries Fairy, so that helps. And then Pheromosa can carry Triple Axle. Besides that, none of them really carry ice type coverage, and so it's not really concerned about that 4 times weakness. So I mean, as Garchomp is, the typing actually isn't too bad. Dragon and Ground being fantastic offensive typings, and now with no Hidden Power Ice, it's a somewhat okay defensive typing, so it works out. We've got Zapdos at 11, no shock there after it got its buffs. Heatran 12, which is a huge drop from earlier. This thing was sitting at like number 3 just a couple of weeks ago, and so now it's already down to number 12, which is kind of crazy. If that thing drops to UU, it's gonna be insane. UU is going to be absolutely broken. Spectre 13, no surprise there. Tapu Fini 14. Yeah, the big surprise here to me is Galarian Slowking being this high up. To me, the weakness to ground makes it a little bit rough just because a ground type has to be on every single team. That's the biggest thing, and that's why a lot of these are running Hydro Pump right now. So, at least a lot of them that I've seen are Assault Vest to eat up the special hits, and then they carry the Flamethrower for Excadrill, and they carry Hydro Pump for any other ground types, such as like Hippo or anything like that. And so, I mean, it gets really good coverage, and 130 special attack is not bad. It's not bad at all. So it's a good mon. It really is a good mon. I didn't expect it to be this high up, to be honest, and I don't know that it's going to stay. But it's still a good mon. It's a lot better than I thought it would be. So I'm happy with seeing new mons being able to shine like this. Moltres still in the top 20, which is really good to see. Swampert at 21. We do see Volcarona come right back up to OU, as well as Hawlucha, which is pretty cool. Volcarona is obviously there to check a lot of your physical attackers with that flame body, same reason that the Moltres is there. And again, these things that are 4 times weak to rock are doing really, really well now that there is heavy duty boots. They don't have to worry about stealth rock. So it's really, really helping them out. That new item really, really changes up the game. And then Rapid Strike Urshifu barely hanging on at number 40. That thing is probably about to go UU, and UU better watch out when that happens, because that's going to be insane when that thing drops down. Obviously, you don't have Pelipper to boost it in the rain, but like, does it matter? I don't think it does, because then you could just bring a Politoed, because Politoed is like super, super low, and as long as you set that rain up, Surging Strikes in the rain, you are going to chunk a ton of things. It's going to be absolutely insane. Lele is up here now, which is cool to see. Lele starting to get some usage. I still don't think that Lele is all as good as what it used to be. I think that there are a lot of good checks to it now that weren't there before, and just the way that the meta has shifted, I don't think it's as good as it used to be, but it's still a very good mon. Buzzwole is on the decline also, which is kind of sad to see. It's been really nice having Buzzwole really high up, but it was really there to check Kieran Black and to check Zygarde, but those are gone now, so unfortunately that is no longer a thing. And so for OU, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. I think OU is pretty good right now. We've got a lot of the Ferrothorns, a lot of the Clefables, a lot of Landorus T. Again, I don't think Lando T is that big of a deal, but that's just me. But I guess Toxapex is my biggest thing. I would love to see a metagame without Pex, personally. I would love to see Toxapex tested and banned out, because I really don't like facing it. And that's one complaint that I was going to get to as far as the OU Council, is that they don't test defensive threats, they only test offensive threats. And so if it sits there on the field for forever and lives, they don't really test it. But if it's the one doing all of the work, as far as sweeping and everything, then that's what gets tested, which I think that you should test both. I think that you should be testing things like Toxapex, things like Clefable, things like Ferrothorn. Not that I think that any of those are particularly broken right now. Clefable's very good, but I mean, as long as Magearna is around, then I think that it has a really good check. As long as Heatran is around, I think it has a decent check. There's a lot of good stuff out there to help deal with it. So, I think it's manageable. Am I having fun with OU right now? I am. I think that it's actually a pretty fun metagame. This beginning part of the metagame has been some of the most fun I've had playing competitive in a while. Just getting a lot of new stuff and a lot of old things coming back that now have some new tricks up their sleeves. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. So I do like OU as a whole right now, but my top hopes for OU that probably are never going to happen are Toxapex being tested to be banned. I would love to see that. I would love to see Zamazenta crowned brought down and tested in OU. Only the crowned version, not the regular one. Only the one that's holding the shield. Because honestly, I don't think that thing is as good as what everybody says, because you're locked into an item, and its offensive stats really aren't all that impressive. Its defenses are good, and it can't be poisoned, so that's good. But there's plenty of things to deal with it, right? It's got a ground weakness, or at least it's neutral to ground. It doesn't have any kind of recovery. It can't run leftovers. It can't run anything like that. So I mean, it's got good coverage. It would be a good sweeper. It wouldn't go any lower than OU, I don't think. But I think that it would be fun to at least test it. You'd see a lot of shifts in the metagame if that were to happen. Probably a lot more Slowbro. Although it does carry Wild Charge as well, so who knows? Maybe it would be too much. I don't know, but I think that it would be. I think it'd be at least worth testing. The other thing I would love to see tested, and this is a lot less popular of an opinion, is Giratina Origin. I would love to see the Origin form of Giratina tested, because really, it's not that good. It really isn't. And again, only the Origin form. Only the one that has to hold the Grisius Orb, not the one that can hold anything. The reason is, again, it's locked into an item, so it can't have any kind of recovery, and it doesn't get any kind of recovery. So, once it loses HP, that HP is gone, and you can't get it back. So that's a big thing. So yes, it's very bulky, but it can be dealt with, and ghost typing is the most commonly used typing in the game. So yes, it is a ghost itself, but at the same time, it also takes super effective damage from ghost. And so anything that's faster than it, yes, it gets Shadow Sneak, but it's also only base 120 attack, which was decent at the time in Gen 4 when it came out. But nowadays, the power creep is so high that stat is really low. 120 attack really isn't all that much. And so it's just not that great of a mon. To me, it's not that great. It loses its bulk, so it's not very bulky either when it's in Origin form. It's really not as fast as what it needs to be. It lacks a lot of things. And so I personally think that Giratina Origin would function just fine in OU. I really don't think that it would be all that big of a deal. especially with things like Pheromosa around with triple axle, with Urshifu single strike. Urshifu single strike would just run through that thing. I mean, and Spectrier, which is faster, could probably live a Shadow Sneak, I would think, at full. If not, you'd start to see a bunch of sash on it. I mean, there's plenty of stuff out there that could deal with it. And so I would love to see Giratina Origin brought down to OU and tested. So let's go ahead and move over to the tier changes as a whole. As far as rising, there really aren't that many things that got moved up. We already talked about the Hawlucha and the Volcarona. So next we look at Kelder. Kelder was a mon that I told you, as soon as it hit RU, I said, yeah, no, that's not going to work. It immediately got banned to RUBL, and then now it's back up in UU. That mon is not gonna work in those really low tiers. It is way too good. Its attack stats too high. It's got guts, which makes it even higher. It's insane. It's way too good to be that low. I don't remember it ever being that low. It's insane to me. It blows my mind. Grimmsnarl and Slowking. Slowking, I think, definitely deserves to be rising back up. Slowking is a great mon, in my opinion. I think it's really, really cool. It's a really good special wall, and it's a decent check to a lot of the things that are in the tier. It's not the best, it beats a lot of things, but it's not the best. So I mean, I think that it's probably going to be bouncing between the RU and UU tier for a while. We get the Obstagoon back up to RU. Kind of interesting that it's that low, especially seeing how it can hit as hard as it can, but it's rather situational, and so it doesn't always put in the work, and it's pretty much a one-trick pony, right? You pretty much know exactly what you're going to get with it. It's going to be a normal type move, it's going to be a dark type move, and it's going to be a fighting type move, and so that's pretty much about all you get out of that thing. So it's pretty predictable. Rhyperior being down in RU, it dropped to NU and now it's up to RU. That thing was like a staple of OU for a while, during Isle of Armor, but now it's just completely dropped off, which is crazy to show just how injecting a few Pokemon can completely change the game. It's absolutely nuts. And Umbreon down there as well. That doesn't surprise me all that much. Regieleki dropping to UU. That is a little scary. Now, the reason it's not as scary is because now it loses its synergy with Tapu Koko, so it does not have the ability to have the electric terrain set up automatically unless you want to run a Pincurchin, which is, I guess, a possibility. We may see some Pincurchin play in UU. I definitely could see that happening in order to get that boost off of Transistor and the terrain, because I mean, this thing will chunk a lot of things. We'll probably see a rise in Zeraora usage so that we have that immunity, but it may just have to eat a Hyper Beam on the way in as well, or an Ancient Power, so that's a little scary. But I think that this thing's going to be an absolute terror in UU, so we're probably going to see a lot of Nidoqueen, something like that. That's the ground type. Nidoqueen's already pretty high in usage in the UU tier, so we'll probably see a rise even more of that. Down in the RU tier, we've got Cobalion moving down, and then we've got Alolan Marowak, Stakataka, and Volcanion. Volcanion's a little rough because it needs a Choice Scarf, but it also needs heavy duty boots, and obviously you can't run both, and that's the problem. It's just too slow. Steam Eruption is great, and it hits decently hard, but it's just too slow for its own good. Stakataka, really good on the physical side. As soon as you get to the special side, it falls apart. It can set up its own Trick Room and do things, but it's just not that great this generation, unfortunately. I really wish that this thing would have been better, but it's just not. Alolan Marowak, I definitely could see Stakataka, Alolan Marowak going nuts in RU together on the same team. I think that's going to be quite the pair, to be honest. I think that's going to be a lot of fun to see. Then we've got Tornadus moving down to NU. That's not too surprising. Regular Tornadus really isn't that great. At least I don't think it's all that great. It's really never been all that great, to be honest. That the biggest problem, I guess, is the pure flying typing with no Roost. But with this one, there's also no Regenerator. With the other form, it gets Regenerator, and so it can get health back, and that's what makes it so good. This one doesn't have that, so unfor it. Ditto moving down. that doesn't really matter. Ditto normally sits down there so that you can use it in any tier. That's not that big of a deal. We've got the Politoed moving to ZU. Again, Politoed isn't too awfully surprising. It is not that great as far as just as a mon in singles. It's decent in doubles, but in singles it's really not that great. But it sets rain, and so it does its job. You know, it can help with swift swimmers and anything that needs the rain setup, anything like that. So you know, it's got its place, but it's not that great. And so after this, you know, it's a lot of things that you probably aren't going to see for a while in competitive. Some things that I'm a little shocked to be this low are regular Articuno. I kind of thought that regular Articuno would have been a little bit higher than this. I didn't think that it would make it down quite to PU, because I really think that with the I really think with them bringing back Weather Ball on this, or giving Weather Ball to this for the first time rather, that this thing actually can be a threat. Especially on sun teams. I think that this thing's really, really cool on sun teams, but you can run it on anything. You know, you could run it on a sand team if you want to have rock type coverage. You could run it on a rain team if you wanted to have the water type coverage. So that's pretty cool. You know, freeze dry, hurricane, 100% in the rain, and then weather ball. And I mean, this thing's pretty set. It's got heavy duty boots, so you don't have to take the rocks damage. It's kind of nuts. Charizard all the way down here. Charizard's been kind of a staple of the metagame thus far, and now it's just starting to really die off. So, you know, even with heavy duty boots, it's really starting to die off. Cramorant, I hate to see Cramorant this low. You know, Cramorant was in UU for a while because it was just kind of a demon to deal with, but now it's just dropping lower and lower and lower, unfortunately. The Jellicent being this low, I think Jellicent's a lot better than what people give it credit for. That's just me. I think Jellicent's really, really good, especially with the resurgence of rain. In OU, I really think that Jellicent can shine with that water type immunity. And then same thing with Lantern. You know, you can run Water Absorb on that instead of Volt Absorb, and I think that it could be really, really helpful. In UU, you can obviously run Volt Absorb for things like Regieleki. So I think it's got usage. I think it's pretty cool, but it's also going to be there to help check things like Pincurchin and Alolan Raichu that are down there now. So, you know, it's a thing. It's a thing that's it'll be all right. It'll be all right. Wheezing being this low is kind of crazy as well. It's always been a really, really good physical wall, but you know, it's just fallen off, unfortunately. So yeah, that's all for all of those. And so if you want to take a look at the top 10 Pokemon in usage for each of the tiers, this is that for you. Notable things, Yveltal up there still at number 1. That has not changed with 60% usage. That's kind of crazy, right? You know, we talk about OU and things having 40% usage. Right now we don't have anything at 40% usage, but Yveltal is at 60% usage. That's insane. It's gonna be on basically every team you face. Why? Because if you don't have one, Calyrex Shadow Rider is going to run through your team. That's pretty much the case. I mean, and it's on half the teams, right? You see a huge drop from 4 to 5 with 47 to 36. So those 4 right there make up a huge amount of the usage in competitive right now. And so there's a lot of things there to just check those. You've got Ditto up there, obviously, to help to check things like Zacian, to help check things that want to set up. So Calyrex Shadow Rider, if that starts setting up things, you just come in with Ditto and then you're already set up. So, I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy, right? Ubers is kind of nuts right now because, I mean, 4 of the Mons, you basically know what 4 of your opponent's Mons are going to be pretty much half the time, which to me kind of seems like not a great system. So I think that Ubers may need a little bit of shaking up, and you know, maybe it means that we need to look into banning Calyrex Shadow Rider, because I think that that's the whole reason we have Yveltal so high. Zacian Crown honestly is like the best mon in the game right now, to be honest with you. I think that it's like the best mon in the game. It's very, very, very good. Very, very strong. UU Blaziken sitting at number 1 as expected. We knew that when that thing dropped, it was going to go crazy because it's just way too strong. Zeraora makes sense. It's super fast. hits pretty dang hard. Good typing, good coverage, all that good stuff. Como-O down there, that can be a wall, it can be offensive, it can do a lot of different things. Zarude sitting at number 1 in RU, that's great to see. Zarude obviously was never going to work in OU. It just doesn't hit hard enough, it's not fast enough. And the typing is great offensively, but you really can't take any hits. It just kind of falls apart if you take a hit. Slowking at number 2, really cool to see. Xurkitree being at number 7 is kind of surprising. I really thought that Xurkitree would be lower. Just when it lost the ability to use Tail Glow, it really lost a lot of its utility, unfortunately. And so basically you're just gonna run like Specs and Scarf because it's a little too slow to really do much on its own. It can't Tail Glow anymore, so it's in trouble. It's in a little bit of trouble. So yeah, but as you go on the lower tiers, everything makes a lot of sense to me. Cursula being at number 10 of ZU is kind of crazy. I really would love to see more usage out of Cursula. I really think that mon is insane, but you know, we'll just have to see where that goes. So yeah, that is going to be all for today's State of the Meta address. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you will leave a like on the video and subscribe if you are new. And of course, do not miss next week as we have our week of Wi-Fi to celebrate 200 subscribers. So until then, stay safe out there. We'll see you Sunday for our stream, and stay healthy, all that good stuff. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.